Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
Mario Götze! Mario Götze!
Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German foosball from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour!
Ha ha ha! Yes!
The Deutschland Hour.
Yes, it is the Deutschland Hour, and Deutschland play today. So it's fortuitous. There's not that many Mondays where we can say that our national team has recently played, but they did in Munich, Germany, beat the Netherlands.
Yeah, they usually play on a Tuesday or a Sunday or a Saturday.
We were 35 minutes in today by the time before I realized, based on my Twitter feed, I expected this game to be tomorrow, but it was not. It was not tomorrow. It was today. And
I Google it every morning, or not every morning, but I was just like, what time is the Germany game tomorrow? And then it's like, it's an hour. It's today.
it's
but
today.
I was out and about, so I had to miss the first half. I only caught also more of the second half because that's what happens when you play on a Monday.
And you missed, that's when
I missed a little bit. I missed.
People have stuff to do.
People have stuff to do. The other good thing about our podcast being on a Monday is we do so many holiday specials. It's always a holiday. Today is a holiday, Bjorn.
Oh yeah, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. The holiday formerly known as Columbus Day.
Yeah, and apparently today it was released that Columbus was Jewish, which is surprising, right?
What? Really?
It's Jewish Columbus Day today.
Okay. Well, I'm sure. I'm sure everyone on the internet reacted with measured takes, and nobody.
Why now?
Nobody went nuts. Nobody went nuts with that revelation in any kind of weird way, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it was. I just saw somewhere that history records show that Columbus was likely a Sephardic Jew.
That's what we're like finding this. That's wild. I did not hear this. I thought he was sort of well covered as a.
Was he well covered?
Person? No, just in terms of that seems like a big thing to just learn.
Right, to discover.
500 years later. So,
I don't know the article.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
A new genealogy study. I don't know where they would get that information from. I don't know.
Oh,
but anyway, it's a holiday here in California.
You got a little audio. You got a little. I'm supposed to tell you. You have some audio, scratchy audio.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, please tell me, because I can't hear the thing. And I actually don't have my headphones on. How about now? How's this?
No, it's the same. Well, anyway, while you futz, I could. Scratchy cables. Anyway, Deutschland against Netherlands, the Nations League group stage is going quick. This was already the fourth game. We had a game on Friday against Bosnia. 2 games, a lot of people missing. A lot of sort of experimental lineups and debutantes. We had Oliver Baumann making his debut today, and Jamie Leweling, though, was the star of the show. He only got into the team because Dennis Undav was a little indisposed during warm-up. He was supposed to play, and then he got to make his debut, and he scored twice. Only one counted, but he did well. Julian Nagelsmann in the postgame seemed genuinely surprised as to how well he played, which I thought was kind of a backhanded. It's a backhanded compliment if your coach is like, "Oh, I didn't know, I had no idea he could."
Well, how's my sound, real quick?
Very good, much improved, okay. Much improved. This was
the old unplug and replug.
Yeah, that's 98% of technical problems. Some people think this about the country, that they should turn this country off and turn it back on.
Well, when I was at work, we had a technical problem. I turned it on and off over and over again. It didn't do crap. So I'm curious what that was.
It's not always.
But
you sound crisp, clear, and sexy, if I can say that.
There we go. Yeah, we definitely can say that. You can always say I sound clear and sexy. Yeah, well, Leweling scored the winner. Right? It was a 1-0 game, and Leweling scored the winner. Speaking of Denny Zundaf got a brace our first game against Bosnia, right?
Yeah.
And you were right. The Dennis Zundaf train is a chewing, is a chugging and a chewing. He's doing it, isn't he?
He's been great. I mean, both of these games, I feel like the results did not tell the full story. They were both pretty dominant performances. In the Bosnia game, I think there were 3 goals called back for VAR. Tim Kleindienst was offside twice. And today's game was not quite as much of an offensive barrage, thank you. But the defense was fantastic. I thought they just really smothered. Like Holland had almost nothing until the very end. I mean, and then ironically, both of these games got a little bit nervy because of the narrow leads. They got a little bit nervy at the end. Oliver Baumann actually had to make a pretty decent save, although these were 2 just kind of a couple shots from outside the box from Holland. This was a very good, I thought, defensive performance. And the headline for me was the Angelo Stiller, and is it Stiller or Stiller? How should we pronounce him?
I mean,
in German, it's Stiller, right?
So Stiller. But here in the United States, it'd be Jerry Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller and Angelo Stiller, the boxer-looking guy. Probably not. Him and Pavlovic played the double pivot. And that was kind of a revelation. I thought that was pretty impressive. Pavlovic, who so far, I mean, he's had so little time with the national team, but he played a little deeper and was kind of more of a 6. But today, Angelo Stiller had his back defensively, and so he was free to roam a little bit more forward and basically run the offense, and that worked quite well. And then Florian Wirtz had some kind of a problem, so he came off at halftime, and then he was replaced by Robert Andrich, interestingly. And so then Andrich and Stiller in the second half played the double pivot, and Pavlovic went even further forward, playing the 10. So I think that was, it's just kind of impressive overall. Anyway, it's Nations League. We're not going to get too, these are glorified friendlies, as Thomas Müller would tell us. And so we got to curb our enthusiasm, but this is a pretty good.
Well, they were fighting at the end, and that's where the whole.
I mean, I guess that's just
these aren't friendlies. This is
game. The Germany Holland thing, right? It's inevitable.
But also they were diving in. Like, I think, when Pep Guardiola got really mad at Caleb Porter at the All-Star
right.
game, it's because he's like, "This is a friendly. You're not supposed to be playing that way." And then I always remind myself of that. I just always think of that. It's like this is a Germany-Netherlands game, and they're slipping and sliding to his feet. They're not allowed to be mad at each other because this isn't a friendly. Like, this is a competitive game.
No, this is an actual competitive game. And I thought there's probably a little frustration. I think they got a little overly upset about that tackle. I think that was an okay.
Yeah, it seemed pretty fair. Yeah, right.
It was an okay tackle, and they all looked like they were expecting a red card.
Right.
But I guess that's the Germany-Holland, no love lost between those 2 teams. But what I was going to say is that the that was kind of our theme, right? Like for this fall, for the national team, how is the midfield? What is the midfield going to look like? Is everybody retired? Actually, today was the day where Gundogan and Toni Kroos were had their big goodbye. Toni Kroos couldn't make it, but it was Gundogan, Neuer, and Müller And Kroos, they had not life size. They're gigantic. They're gigantic heads in the stands, and it was very festive. And
I missed this. My mom told me about it. Apparently, Rudi Völler organized all of it.
yeah, Rudi Völler gave hugs to everyone, and the three of them sort of stood awkwardly in street clothes on the field
What do you mean?
and waved repeatedly.
Okay, so Tony Kroos couldn't make it?
Tony Kroos had
Neuer
a
and Muller live in München, so it's not a big deal for them. They can just hop on the tube and be over there.
he had a prior engagement with his academy or some. It was children related. He had to show up for the children someplace.
Yeah, or else they wouldn't learn soccer. Right?
And that's
or else
what
they wouldn't learn. Yeah.
So that's what he did. He had a prior engagement. Anyway, so the new look midfield is going splendidly. I think there is so much depth and talent. I mean, Robert Andrich has to. We thought before the Euros. I don't know if we thought. I thought he is kind of the key figure. And now there's like three of him, and they're very flexibly deployable. Pavlovic can go forward. Stiller also, I think, has more offensive talent. Tony Rüdiger in a press conference on whenever it was, Friday or Thursday, said how he was really impressed with Stiller when they played against each other in the Champions League. So today he was just basically asked to provide defensive cover, but he has more in his arsenal in terms of playmaking ability. So really interesting. And we got some other looks at people at the 10. We had Wirtz play a lot of it, but he then got hurt. Musiala, there were a lot of injuries with Musiala and Kai Havertz, who was kind of who we celebrated as the new number 10 the last window. He was out, so he didn't play. And so we saw Wirtz, we saw Pavlovic. Very, very solid midfield setup, and just generally the principles of being very aggressive and very sort of brave and offensive minded seem to transcend the lineups. Like this is a real identity. I feel like that the team now has, that it is not just dependent on certain players. Yeah,
which is good because, I mean, on paper we don't have players. A lot of players. On paper.
I mean,
but like we definitely have a lot of younger guys coming up. And I think there's a few guys to thank. I guess this is a award show. Like, real quick, in that Bosnia game, did you see the Florian Wirtz to Dennis Undav opening goal?
Oh, yeah. That was a pretty...
One-on-one. Kicked the ball behind him to Dennis Undav, who slammed it in. Like, that's a type of... And they don't play in the same club. That's just a type of seamless communication and ball movement where it's like, hey, this team's a team, man.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that definitely impressed me too. That this was where nobody could, he was one-on-one with the goalie. Basically, nobody could have faulted Wirtz for taking a crack at it from that position. But he immediately saw that Undav was well positioned and then delivered it on a platter. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins wouldn't have done that. He would have slammed his keeper. But so there's a lot of people, like, we had a pretty good Euros. Julian Nagelsmann, the coach, real quick so far. He's only been, I think this is his year anniversary or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And things are doing really well under him. He's done a really good job making the system quick, effective, efficient. That's A. And then B, seemingly the players can be rotated. Like he didn't have the goalkeeper he wanted. So he had Oliver Baumann, who did come up. Oliver Baumann, the third oldest debutant in German national team history.
Yeah, a little bit of a head scratcher, I guess, but...
Well, because Bernd Leno didn't show up, and I guess he picked the vet over the Alexander Nubel,
But Bernd Leno didn't show up because he wouldn't guarantee him a game. So he...
Right.
Well, anyway,
granted, we don't know what that is.
He rates Baumann over Leno, which okay.
Well, Baumann's from Hoffenheim, and who else is from Hoffenheim? Nagelsmann. So he's one of his boys.
Oh, this is a home. This is a Homer thing. All right.
Well, just he worked with him before.
I mean,
it could
it
also
doesn't.
be that we talked last week about Brent Leno talking like I don't know, maybe Nagelsmann confirmed it, but just because quote unquote I'm not going to guarantee you playing time doesn't mean that that's not what he was going to do.
Right.
Maybe just Nagelsmann's a policy where he doesn't guarantee anybody playing.
Yeah,
I think it's very healthy.
No, you're right. You're right. You could
if I were head coach, I wouldn't guarantee anybody playing time. I'd be like, you earn it, But anywho, so under Nagelsmann done really well, and then there are two football clubs you also have to thank for just showing up and bring a lot of youngsters through the fold and then succeeding with them. One is Bayer Leverkusen, where we got our Kai Havertz and our Florian Wirtz from, and one or two other guys. And the other is VfB Stuttgart. I mean, Leweling, I'm going to admit, I'm embarrassed to admit this, I had to Google him.
Yeah.
It was his debut, so he's new, but he's a Stuttgart winger. Just like Friedrich and just like Anton Waldemar and just like or Valdemar Anton, excuse me.
Yeah,
and
who made his debut today as well. Yeah.
Who did?
Anton. Came off the bench.
He didn't play? Oh, he didn't play yet before? It's like thank you, Stuttgart, and thank you, Sebastian Hoeneß, who we learned today turned down the Manchester United job over the summer to stay at Stuttgart. So because he is the hot new German coach. He's like the hip new German coach. He's like Xabi Alonso stole a little bit of his thunder as being Europe's hottest young coach, but Sebastian Hoeneß is right there behind him in a more domestic sense. Like in Germany, Hoeneß is the hot new whippersnapper, and we got all these young new guys who are very fast and effective, play well in systems. And Julian Nagelsmann, I guess, recognized that. He's like, well, I'm going to offer you a system. And they all plug in just nicely. Pavlovic is coming along just nicely. We can credit Bayern München for that one. He's a youngster, but he's like in the style of a Philipp Lahm or a Joshua Kimmich. He's like at 19 is already playing like a 28-year-old.
Or Toni Kroos even. I mean, really, I think, who knows? He's a young guy, but he's going to be a superstar. He has all the makings of running the German midfield for the next 10 years. Yeah.
But it's an exciting time to be a Germany fan. Julian Nagelsmann is doing great. He has already announced he wants to step down after the World Cup. And I've already shared my opinion. I'm Nagelsmann for life. I'm just like, hey.
Nagelsmann forever. Nagelsmann till I die.
Till I die. If he steps down after one cycle, it's like, come on, that's the shortest tenure in national team history.
But he knows what's good. He's a young guy too. It's such a it's a break with tradition for the DFB to hire somebody like that as a national team coach, and he probably has other other ideas about what he wants to do. But anyway, whatever.
He had a point to prove. This ended up being a match made in heaven because his last few gigs weren't the best, and he was touted as a young super coach. But he wasn't really winning any titles. And then when he went to the Germany job, which sort of was a marriage of convenience between him and the DFB and Bayern München, because Bayern München wanted him off the books, and DFB needed a German coach who was available, and Julian Nagelsmann needed a job, and it turns out it's working really well. He's really excelling as a national team coach. Maybe these are where his strengths lie. I don't know. But like you said, I'm sure he wants to be the next Pep or Jorgen, I'm sure. So he's probably going to want to go back in the club game at some point. But I'm liking the Nagelsmann era of the new young Germany. It's not the sideway pass, malaise, none of that stuff. It's quick movement, up top, direct. We don't, keep it quick, and I love it. And it's going well.
Yeah, so far so good. And we have not made it before to any final rounds of Nations League, so this is the first. Note that means a whole lot, but already qualified.
Who's the defending champion? Bjorn, who won the first three?
Portugal, no? Or
I think so. Maybe I have no idea. I don't remember.
Listen,
I think Portugal won one, France won one, maybe. Who won it last time though?
I think it's Portugal, but
I'm gonna Google that. You're probably right. I'm gonna go Nations League winners. See if there's even a Wikipedia.
Oh, I mean, it's yeah, no, people don't like it.
Spain.
Spain
Won. They
Yeah,
beat
that makes
Croatia.
sense. That makes sense.
Spain beat Croatia.
Right.
I would love for Germany to play Spain in the Nations League finals as a little bit of a rematch from that handball. Well, I mean, it would be really unfortunate for us because it's a way less important title, but we traditionally struggle against Spain and Italy. Those are two teams we struggle a lot, and it'd be nice if we can squash that bogey and maybe play Spain again.
Maybe squash it in the World Cup, not in the.
Well, that too, but we got to do it with the Nations League first, perhaps.
Okay. Well, if that's how it works, I'm all for it.
2021 was won by France, and 2019 was won by Portugal. That was the first time. Netherlands got runners up. They weren't in the 2021 one, but in 2023 they got fourth place. But the Netherlands, we took their number: a tie in Amsterdam and a win in München. We got one over our neighbors. You know what I looked at last night, Bjorn? I looked at a map of Europe and every country's average IQ.
What?
It's an IQ Europe map. Between the Netherlands and Germany, who has the higher average IQ, do you think?
First of all, I think I call nonsense on the premise of this. But
premise isn't it's inaccurate or what?
Well, I mean, I would have some funny answers to give you in private, but since we are in a public forum.
Well, I'll just say that the averages are almost a very similar across the board. So
I mean, not surprising, deal, really.
But there is, so I'll give you this. There's one, and also who knows how accurate these figures are and short. So I'm just having a little fun here. But I'm a very proud German. You know, we're engineers. We're all engineers. You're an engineer. I'm an engineer. Like, we can try not to be an engineer, but engineering is just in our mind and our blood.
Just kind of.
And to be an engineer, you have to be really good at math and be creative and try to solve and be good at problem solving. So I think that leads itself to a high IQ, right? So I assume the German IQ is pretty high. However, the Netherlands and Germany are only separated by 1 point in their average.
And Netherlands has the higher one?
Well, you tell me. It's Germany who built. What did we build? Germany built cars.
I mean, just
bills. And then what did the Netherlands build? Cheese. What they build?
Solely based on your build-up, I'm assuming that.
Well, yeah. You tell me. What do you think?
I don't really believe in IQ. I gotta honestly tell you. I think it's sort of bobo.
It does exist. It's a real thing.
It's a thing that people. But
IQ is very dated. There's EQ. That's more my thing.
Emotional intelligence, right?
And then there's all those other things.
Dogs are really good at that.
Yeah, dogs are excellent at it. They're the best at it. Anyway, yes, you're right. The Netherlands is a smarter country than Germany.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
And I mean, despite all the inbreeding?
Despite all the inbreeding. The Netherlands average IQ is 100. The German average IQ is 99. And the Belgian and the Luxembourg average IQ is also 99. So we're all 99, and then Netherlands got that extra point. Probably from all that inbreeding, like you mentioned, or just because the cheese is good for the mind or something.
That's, I mean, all right. Well, is it noticeable? You think you go into how you feel like, yeah, this is just 1 point. People just seem 1 point smarter on average around here.
Well, the Dutch have a higher EQ. I think that's.
That too.
But, I would just assume that. Yeah, because when I went to Amsterdam, a guy yelled at me when I asked what the time was. And I was like, yeah, I guess Germans do the same thing. But it's like, I ain't in America no more, bub. Europeans don't like the small talk. I guess like the Americans do. Or I should say Northern Europeans. The super high IQs are the Norwegians. Because you're indoors.
All right. Well,
they have 101.
1 more point. So you got to go. So if you really want to, if you need another point, then you got to go far.
Yeah, the UK had 99. Pretty much we're all very similar across the board. The only numbers that were really low, I think, was just because they didn't have good testing figures. But anywho, the Germans had one over the Dutch. We did beat Bosnia, not super convincingly, but you said we have that barrage, and we are the winners of our group, right? Is there anything left in this?
We need another win or 2 points to be exact to actually formally win the group. But our next game is Bosnia Herzegovina at home, so that
Did
I
you?
mean, barring
They played in one of the ugliest stadiums I've ever seen before in my life. Oh no!
oh
Hold on.
On the
No,
road in
no.
Bosnia.
Sorry, I mixed it. I saw a few games. I'm talking about. Was it Croatia Poland? I think it was in Zagreb, so it was the Croatian home stadium,
Ah, okay.
and it was one of the
not nice.
ugliest, most backwards, stupidest, typical, nonsensical stadiums I've ever seen.
Oh,
It's like all of the people were like a mile high, so you heard an audience, but you couldn't see them. There's like a big, I guess, with the running track around the field, and then one side of the field had the stands like curved, so it was appropriate, and then the other three were just temporary straight stands just plopped on there or something.
oh, okay.
And you heard an audience, but the whole time you're just like, I don't see anyone. It was such a weird stadium, and it's Dinamo Zagreb's home stadium. It's in Zagreb, Croatia, and Croatia did get their win, I believe. And I was just like, how do you even build something like this? So I Google imaged it, and it was one of the ugliest stadiums I've ever seen. Here, I'm a vamp for a bit. I want to show everybody the stadium.
The Bosnia stadium was normal looking, but it was pretty small. But people were loud in Bosnia. They were
Party, man. Oh, yeah, they were into it.
yeah, they were into it. They were kind of hostile towards Germany, and it was kind of tight for a little while until the UNDAF double pack.
Doppelpack. Yeah. I'm trying to think if this works. This will be good for the podcast audience. Here we go. How do I zoom in?
You got a thing. All right. Oh, that's the.
Hold on. Can you see?
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it's like one of those.
No, let me zoom out. Well, let me find a better photo. So I'll grab. Yeah, it's like it's seen better days. It's probably this is the better photo here. No, that's where it keeps sending me. Right here. How about this one?
Oh.
Look at that.
Oh, so it has like sort of two random stands.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got a track. What is that? Is that it's a floating
Blue.
it's a floating field in the middle of the public pool.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So here on the left, these stands look appropriate. Like they were built to fit this stadium, right?
Right.
And then the other three sides, these giant temporary stands just plopped on there. But if you look closely, they're high up. Like on the bottom, these blue things, those are walls, almost like a baseball bullpen. So they're high above this stadium that's floating in the middle of the water. It's a very, very weird stadium.
Danielle Young is saying this looks worse than Yankee Stadium or Citi Field. They should play in a baseball stadium instead.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, it's probably a similar experience. I'm telling you. Check it on the Yankees. How are the
Not
Yankees
a lot
doing?
of baseball. The Yankees are up 4-1.
My friends, big Mets fans, were disappointed when my
But they
Dodgers,
won.
my LA Dodgers, destroyed them.
But they
last night.
won today. Okay, it's all tied up now. The series.
Oh, really?
is
I'm
tied,
so out of the
yeah.
loop.
Yeah,
they already
they
played? It's nighttime.
Already played
I don't know how it
noontime by in California, Pacific time, noon. Yeah, 3:00.
It's a big sports weekend because the Dodgers are playing.
It's a
and I work near
huge-
the Rose Bowl. So it was UCLA and USC's first Big Ten games this weekend. So UCLA were there, and a bunch of for literally for 5 hours, I watched a bunch of people in Michigan State gear walk past me going to the Rose Bowl, and then apparently Penn State and USC were up in the Memorial Coliseum. So it's a lot of, plus the LA Galaxy are on the verge of the playoffs. That's it's a lot. It's a big sports weekend.
Everything's happening. I mean, in New York too, we have the Yankees and the Mets are still alive. Both of them. Perhaps
Subway Series.
One series away from the Subway Series. The New York Liberty is in the WNBA finals, and
That's right.
I went to see Game 1 at the Barclays Center, and they had just a horrendous. They were up by 15 points in the fourth quarter and lost. That had never happened before. It was a kind of a dramatic overtime collapse. Courtney Williams of the Minnesota Lynx got a 4-point play. Shades of Larry Johnson. Anyway, But very fun atmosphere. People are showing up for them at the Barclays in
My
Brooklyn.
friend was also
I think
at the
there's
Liberty
more. It was definitely louder at the Liberty than the last time I saw the Nets. I will say that.
Yeah, my friend was also there. So yeah, I guess it was a thing. I think, and my other friend was talking about the Liberty. Yeah, it's funny. I guess it's sports season. October's a good sports month here in America. It's where
Yeah,
the baseball playoffs are happening.
the Giants and the Jets are playing. The Jets are playing the Buffalo Bills right now. So
Ooh.
it's all happening. It's all happening
You know what I did over the
here in
weekend,
New York
Bjorn?
City. Tell me.
It's totally unrelated. I should probably save this for off podcast talk. But I went to one of my favorite places. I went to one of my favorite places. While everyone was watching sports, my friend went to the Mets. Went off to watch the Mets. I went to the Magic Castle to watch Magic because I like Magic. So while all the sports was happening, I was having decks of cards.
The Magic Castle is like a magic shop, or is a
No. The Magic Castle is an old Victorian mansion here in the Hollywood Hills.
Okay.
And it is one of the greatest, oldest sort of magical clubs in the world or whatever. So the best magicians in the world are members, and it's invite only. You can't buy tickets openly. You have to be invited. And a friend of mine is one of the magicians, so invited me, and you have to go in, and it's a mansion full of like 5 or 6 up close little theaters all throughout. It's like a maze with bars and theaters, and you walk around and you check out different magical acts.
So this is an event that happens.
It's every day.
It's every day. Okay.
Yeah. Or like Wednesday through, I think it is every day, but like I think only the bar is open Wednesday through Sunday.
But you have to be invited. You can't just walk in.
You have to have an inn, which your boy Stefan has an inn because I've been around. I know people.
Oh yeah.
It's also
you're
fancy
a man
dress.
of the world.
I bought a full suit for it, and if you don't have a full suit on, they won't let you in. You have to be dressed up fancy.
I see. Okay, so you have to dress up. Isn't that like okay?
It's a lot of fun. That's where I went. Save your sports. I'm going there, but I believe next week, and I'm going to Orange County SC game. So I'm back going to live soccer again, and definitely need to check out the Galaxy. But let's go back to Germany. We do sidesteps here. I guess so. So German national team, thumbs up. New goalkeeper. Who cares? Like it's like you give us a new goalkeeper. Give us a new winger, give us a new forward.
Baumann got his shot. I mean, I think long term.
But what I'm saying is, it's the system, not the players, right? You know,
he's been very good. Yes,
Schiller,
totally.
We've got Pavlovic, we've got Andrich, because we were like Tony Kroos to pull himself out of retirement. Will that work? It did work. It did great. But then he retired 6 months later. We're like, where does that leave us? No Thomas Müller, no Tony Kroos, no Manuel, and it leaves us in a great spot. Refresh is going great.
The midfield is looking very strong, and he has also even during the Euro I said this, and he's not afraid to give people a shot. Like he's got like already. Was on kicker. He was like had 18 debutants already during his reign, and even during the Euro when things were obviously counting for something, he still gave a lot of people minutes and kept the roster really engaged, kept everybody engaged, and I think that's what's happening now. He gets a lot of people. He gets a lot of people time, and the people who are not playing, they know that if they perform, they're going to get a shot. It's not, and that hasn't always been the case, where under former coaches, and this is really
describe what we're talking about IQ and all this and German. If you had to pick a material that a German head would be made of, what would it be? A hard material or a soft material?
A German head? No, I think we're known to be hard-headed, so it would be concrete.
That's what I was
Betonkopf.
Betonkopf, hard-headed. Back in the day, Germans, they have traditions, the national team have traditions, and Germans stick to tradition. And, the German tradition is have a Bayern München-based squad with some others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bayern München and the others. And then if Dortmund's doing really well, it'd be a Bayern Dortmund squad. But Julian Nagelsmann came in, and he's like, Bayern and Dortmund aren't the story right now. The story is Stuttgart and Bayer Leverkusen. And so he just completely threw that convention. And it's funny coming right from Bayern München. Maybe he was a little bitter from the Bayern brass, but like he came right from. He's like, screw it, new boys, a bunch of Stuttgart boys, a bunch of Bayer Leverkusen boys moving forward. Yeah. And and then we had a guy who debuted from Brentford. Pascal Grohl. He's like all the EPL guy. Pretty much, he's like, there's no clubs anymore. It's just like I'm just picking a whole bunch of young guys, and if you're German and if you're around, I'm picking you.
Yeah, and he doesn't have like, oh, these are my people, like in a
Right.
way that other coaches really over the years, everybody, especially successful teams. I remember like, Bertie Vogt still running out Andy Brehme in 1998, and like
Wait a minute, Blama was it 98?
I think he was still playing in 98. And if I'm not mistaken. But
There are
anyway,
stories of an old version of that is Sepp Herberger tried to bring Fritz Walter to the 66 World Cup when he was like 43 or something.
yeah, and
like,
those
guy.
kinds of it's no good. Like especially these days, there's a with all the games that people are playing, you gotta find the youngins, the people who are excited to be there. And so I think he's been really good about that. So yeah,
Great.
thumbs up. You want
Is
to
that
talk
a
about?
segue?
You want to talk about Jurgen Klopp?
Well, I was going to say you offered the segue.
To the striking, the
youngsters
striking
and
pros.
the game load and all that stuff and all the yada yada.
That's
what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, Rodri. I mean, this is all brought on by Rodri, right? Who
I'm looking at the squads here real quick. I do not see Andreas Blema in the 98 squad.
Oh,
maybe he was in the 96 Euro squad. Is that maybe what you're thinking?
Perhaps. Anyway, who was there? Must have been.
Well, they filed it in court. I don't remember reading Rodri's name specifically, but FIFA. We've been hearing rumblings. We brought this up in the podcast before. Remember, you asked me how I felt about the FIFA Club World Cup, and my thoughts were like, "Is it even going to happen?" It seems like that's the catalyst for everyone to strike, and it's true. They talked about it, and today I believe they officially filed something in court. Now, maybe you can help me with this. My understanding of European and sport law is very limited. I read about in articles where it's like, we went to the court of arbitration of sport. I don't even know what that is. I just know it's a thing. It's because the United States doesn't have something like that. I don't think so.
Well, they have. I mean, they've had some dealings with this too about promotion relegation. Some people have tried to make cases.
Yeah, it's an antitrust suit, I believe, on paper or something against FIFA, and it was at the European Court of Business, and it's upgrading the European Court of Justice or something like that. I wish I had an EU lawyer here who could explain law to me. As a German man, can you tell me, because I'm an American, so here in America we have one country, one set of laws, and one federal court, a state court, and a local court. In Europe, there's The Hague, there's the EU courts, and then there's also the German court or whatever, right? So it's
right.
Germany has a court system, I know that. But then there's also an EU court system?
Depending on, I mean, that's more of a business thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so what would that, pretty much describe this to me. I'm maybe putting you on the spot here. I can't, okay, sorry. But I know something's going on, but unfortunately I'm not an expert, so I can't wrap my head
so
against
you're talking about the court of arbitration for sport.
No, I just brought that up as an example.
Oh,
the article I read today was that they filed an antitrust case. FIFPro and all the European leagues filed an antitrust case against FIFA today. And one of the EU courts, an EU court.
Okay.
One of those business courts, I believe. And the article listed a bunch of different ones. There's the EU Court of Business or something, the EU Court of Justice. And I guess one upgrades to the other or something like that. But anyway, long story short, it's verbal, and what the players were saying is that because UEFA's guilty too, they added 2 new games to Champions League. The leagues are all like, we didn't add crap. Our league, past 20 years, our leagues have had the same amount of games. FIFA is just loading and loading and loading, and the FIFA Club World Cup is the feather that broke the camel's back, I guess. And they're pretty much being like, yo, we need, we've been trying to talk to you, we've been trying to negotiate with you, FIFA, and FIFA's not even picking up the phone. Where UEFA did pick up the phone. So that's why UEFA's not being sued. UEFA's, I guess, not in as much scrutiny as FIFA is from FIFPro. But apparently FIFA's not even pick up the phone, so they're like, all right, we'll see you in court, I guess. So they're shoving them in court, and I think they're trying to fight for, rest law. I think they mentioned that every player should get 4 weeks of recovery time every summer or something. They just mentioned they need a little more recovery time, and they can't just be shoved in more games, And it's in court, so it's going official. And I'm very curious how the FIFA Club World Cup here in the United States, they're making these announcements, putting the finals here in the Rose Bowl in my neck of the wood and stuff. The players don't want to play the tournament, but FIFA is pretending like that doesn't exist. And right now we're having the beginning of a FIFA Pro, which is the players' union, versus FIFA on the matter, and it is going to European courts. So today marks the beginning of that, I guess. We'll see how that develops.
All right.
That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know, a law analyst would probably can offer me better specifics, but
I think I think you probably described it pretty well. I mean, it's always these kinds of things never happen quickly, right? These kinds of bodies, arbitration bodies, they don't do that kind of thing quick, and so we'll have to see. And then what kind of jurisdiction they even have, like you're saying.
Yeah, we'll see really what this means. The FIFA thing, to be honest, like back in the day, because I was in Brooklyn when it was happening, and right down the street from us, Loretta Lynch in the Brooklyn courthouse was just taking FIFA to task and destroying the whole organization from outside in, pretty much. And I believe the reason we had jurisdiction was because all the money FIFA had was in the American banking system, or at least a lot of it was. That's A, and B, why. A lot of their sponsors were American-based businesses, and I believe that's why the FBI could do what they did.
FBI just declared themselves to have jurisdiction. Yeah.
So, I'm not going to claim. I'm sure it is complex. It's global, but I'm not going to pretend like I know how that works. It worked. The FBI 100%. After years of FIFA just being left alone, the FBI is like, actually, let's put our focus on you, and they just wrecked it in a year. I think it took them for that. Something the Swiss authorities and the German authorities and the British authorities couldn't do over 100 years.
But did they wreck them, or is it, say, meet the new boss, same as the old boss?
It's what you just said. It's the minute the FBI wants to look at them again, then they might have to do it all again. But the FBI was the only organization that actually could take FIFA to task when they wanted to. But yeah, you're right. I think all the people left and just replaced with identical people. I think it's all the same. As we're seeing now, because FIFA's just trying to squeeze their money. They're trying to match UEFA's income, and they're like FIFA. The FIFA has been trying to make money off club football for years. Right. That's sort of been their project, and it's never quite worked out because FIFA makes way more money.
The World Cup is their thing. Yeah,
World Cup,
and everybody loves the World Cup. But then FIFA, they're trying to muscle themselves. I mean, there was that whole thing about the Super League where they were basically, they almost aligned themselves with them against UEFA, but that in the end didn't work out. But it was briefly on the table. So it's exactly what you're saying. And the players and the leagues are aligned here, which is interesting. So that should mean something. So
the other interesting part of it is the UEFA president did an announcement slamming FIFA, and it's like, well, hold on, UEFA, you just added 2 more weeks.
Well, they've been at each other's throat
forever
because of the Super League thing specifically.
Yeah, essentially, it's the November elections soccer version. It's Trump Kamala, and UEFA found a reason to yell at FIFA. But UEFA is guilty as well. But from what I understand, the only difference is UEFA is more willing to talk with the union, like they're talking. I think UEFA has better communications officers or something, where FIFA, I guess, is using a different tactic. But UEFA is also a snake in the grass. The only reason they revamped the Champions League is because they're trying to expand it, and get more games out of it, make it bigger, more money,
Right. Well, it's also a little bit of a different, they are trying to elevate. The Club World Cup is potentially a showcase for the lesser leagues and the lesser confederations, and the Europeans are like, why we're not interested in? It's almost
makes no sense.
It's almost a little bit. Well, it's a version of like obviously a higher level version of the U.S. Open Cup thing that's playing out in the U.S. where all the littler leagues are like, yeah, we want to be at the same table, and we want to showcase ourselves, and MLS is like, well, why should we help you?
Right.
And so it's
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid is like, why do we don't need to help. We don't need to help Tigres and.
Well, essentially, they're just like, these games are going to
yeah.
cost us money. It's like we make more
Right.
money playing home games in the league. So
Yeah.
why would we do this? Yeah, it is. Essentially, the way it is now is ideal. It's the best way, in my opinion. It's the best way it could ever be. We did this before. I was there when it happened. It was a fun, weird little tournament in 2001. Manchester United and Real Madrid were there. Vasco da Gama and Corinthians were there. Necaxa from Mexico was there. Some team from Australia that doesn't exist anymore, I think, was there. But it was a weird, fun little tournament. Manchester United and Real Madrid were not having a good time. Sir Alex Ferguson was not happy with what was going on. They were in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the season. They're like, so FIFA changed it where it's like, all right, we're doing it. We're hosts and thing. And the European, the South American team, which are always the big boys, we designed it so you only have to be there for 5 days. They're like, it's 5 days of your schedule. You have your semis on a Wednesday, your final on Saturday. And that worked. That's as good as I think that's the solution right there. And yeah, it's not a major tournament.
But the downside is nobody.
Involved.
The downside is nobody cares. Nobody.
If your club's not involved, but that's what's
not
always
on anyone's radar. Yeah, it's like the Campeones Cup.
Do you think this tournament, the way this is, the Campeones, do you think this tournament, the way it is now, is going to be a global? Do you think people are going to care?
I mean, potentially. Tournament? I think there is. We've talked about this before. I think it's. Soccer is improving globally, and it would be cool to see meaningful competition that goes beyond. The confederations just amongst themselves. But I mean, I also understand the flip side. The European teams, they play a ton of games. I'm just, I hope the players are savvy and they don't just get kind of, their concerns maybe are just getting, what's the word I'm looking for? The leagues are like, oh yeah, and because ultimately these are money. The leagues are not that concerned about the health of the players necessarily either, So it's like, but I wonder if that's something that's happening where the leagues are like, oh yeah, and the players are playing too much too, which is in England, there's all these cups and
and also they don't have a winter break.
Yeah, and they don't have they play like every couple days over the holidays. So
and the leagues expanded. Germany was the only league that denied expansion. They pitched the expansion. Leagues all used to be 18-team leagues, but then they switched. And then they go to
they went to 20, and so so it's not like traditionally traditionally the leagues are setting piles of money on fire in protection of the players' health. So I'm hoping that the players' concerns don't just get co-opted in this game, in this international game of who gets paid for what. Anyway. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, to be determined.
To be determined. All right, one last news story. So
speaking of global empires, Jürgen Klopp, in a surprise move, announced that he's going to be the sporting director of all of Red Bull, and he said that he wants to foster all the talent that we have. So who is the we? Who is the we in that sentence?
I think he meant mainly the New York Red Bulls. I think that's mainly what his job was. It's like, I think it's mainly why he took the job. Remember how U.S. Soccer offered him money? He's like, no, thank you, I need a break.
He read that interview.
A month later, the New York Red Bulls got him.
He read that interview with Oliver Mitzlaff, who said that American soccer is not developing enough, and Jürgen Klopp said, I cannot stand by. I cannot just sit here and watch this grandiose franchise that is the New York Red Bulls languish second best in their own town. I got to get involved, and so he took this job.
Yeah, this is such a head scratcher. I don't know. I mean, I'm all about it. Why not? What a fun thing, and especially as a New York Red Bulls fan. Technically, Jürgen Klopp, the New York Red Bulls tweeted out a photo of Jürgen Klopp and Sandro Schwarz hugging each other And then in German, it said, schön dich nochmal zu sehen or something like that on the bottom. Nice to see you again. Pretty much New York Red Bulls being like, Jurgen Klopp's with us now. Like taking any little bit of credit they can get. But
I think in this case, the cynical take is probably the correct take, right? Like Jurgen Klopp, he has apparently he has exit clauses according to Fab Romano. He has exit clauses to.
But according to other sources, that's a lie. He doesn't have an exit clause.
He doesn't have any exit clauses. But I mean, Red Bull, especially in the like aside from our New York jokes, etc. Red Bull in the German language speaking in Germany and Austria, whatever, the German language speaking part of Europe has an image problem. They really are not popular. And so they're looking.
Don't have an image problem either. It's the same thing. Yeah, right. Right away, everyone was just like, I think there was a quote where Jurgen Klopp, when he left Dortmund for Liverpool, he said something about because he criticized Man City being a high-spending club. He's like, I would never. Something about I'm a man of integrity and I don't.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. The Red Bull is looking for to improve their image, and so they were really after him, and he's probably happy to take a big check while he's figuring out what to do next. It's better to be on vacation while getting paid. I mean, this seems like it's going to be a largely.
But even that, Bjorn.
PR ceremonial kind of role. That.
However, he made $50 million a year at Liverpool, which means he probably has hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, right? And the sins in a loan of let's say you had $100 million in your savings account. Just to any basic interest accrued, he'd be.
You're saying he doesn't need the money? He doesn't need the money?
Yeah,
but more is always better.
More
is always better. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. True, but all he's doing is this new job pays him. I think the reports are what, $8 to $10 million a year, something $8 to $12 million a year, something like that, with bonuses. That's how much he gets off his interest. That's got to be pocket change for him at this point, right? So it's not like he needs that money. So. Red Bull means nothing to them. Jurgen Klopp, right? More money is always better, right? Why say no to $12 million?
I mean, the weird thing is that he has always, his brand has, his thing has always been like he's a man of the people. He votes left, and this does not jive with, and that doesn't jive with Red Bull. With Red Bull GmbH, it just seems like rather than him. If the comments on social media are to be believed, this is not like him lifting up the image of Red Bull. It's just sort of damaging his own standing.
Also, it is that. But also, what is that job? A lot of people. Jared Houlier's had that job. Ralf Rangnick, I think, had that job.
I mean,
Mitzlaff himself had that job, and then from what I understand, Mario Gomez has that job now. But I can't find any information about the status of Mario Gomez.
But
I don't know if he was fired. I don't know if he's going to be his assistant or I have no idea what happened to Mario Gomez. I don't know what happened to the last guy, pretty much. And it is also, what job is that in general? Like, it's not a job that exists almost anywhere else. He's just going to pick up the phone, and be like, "Hey, you guys still doing the high press over there in New York? Just checking. Thanks, guys." Right. You know what I mean?
He's gonna roll up his sleeves and okay. Here's a question for you. Let's get a prediction. What's the over under? How many New York Red Bull games is Jurgen Klopp gonna attend in person during his reign as Red Bull sporting director? What is your?
I'm gonna say he'll be there maybe twice, maybe 3 times.
3 times total.
At the playoffs, just throughout the it's going to be on the Apple TV broadcast.
Is it going to be 2 or 3? It's going to be 2 or 3.
Let's say 2. One to introduce, be like, "Hey, Jurgen Klopp, Red Bull sporting director," real quick. And also, it's not because of that. His wife likes Celine Dion, so whenever if Celine Dion's playing at MSG, then you'll see Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, she's in Vegas mostly, right? Or is that
in Vegas? Yeah. So when the Red Bulls play in LA, maybe you'll see him because they just came out from Vegas. So I think there'll be, Johan Klopp, I think, is traveling and retiring, and his family, I think that'll bring him to MLS a handful of times. And then the second one will be like.
So what are you settling? What are you settling on? What's the number you're settling on? The
2.
number 2.
It's fine.
All right.
And the cameras are going to be on him most of the game. Like the game, if there's a game going on, I would say 60% of the camera movement will be zooming into Johan Klopp.
Oh, Apple
and
Plus.
It'll be Steve Cangelosi talking about Johan Klopp a lot or whatever.
Apple Plus is going to have Klopp Cam.
Yeah, Klopp Cam. And I think it'll be there twice.
If you had said 3, I would have taken the under for sure. But
yeah, I said 2.
But you said 2.
He's going to be there
I'm
pretty
not
soon. He's going to be there at the beginning of next year. Or whatever.
It's going to come one time.
Yeah.
And that'll be it, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Is this a real job or what is it? I'm just confused because it does seem like a fake job.
I don't think it's a real
fake job. And B, he doesn't need the money. So why is he taking a fake job? He doesn't need the money for? It's weird. Why? I mean, maybe he's trying to buy a mansion.
This is an odd presumption that he doesn't like money or he doesn't need. I mean, that's true for many people who keep working.
If he votes left, like you say, and he has $100 million in the bank, how much more money does he need? But this screams as someone like a Nicolas Cage, where it's like he bought one castle too many. He's just like, he's like, I gotta go to work. These taxes are adding. I gotta go.
Sure,
these property taxes alone.
Yeah, he's probably he's a man from the southwest of Germany. They're very frugal. Hasn't been working in a few months. He looks at his checking account. He's got there's a lot of things going out. Nothing's coming in. He's like, oh, I don't know. Then Oliver Mitzlaff calls and says, hey, and Jürgen's like, let's go. I can work while not working. Amazing.
He also said he's going to take a year off. He said that in May. It's October. He took the summer off. So is it May? Let's add all of May. June, July, August, September. He took 5 to 6 months off.
I think this speaks to my presumption that this is ceremonial. This is like he's like going to be the queen of Red Bull. He's just going to come to cut ribbons and shake hands and come to ceremonial events. You think he's going to
Mario Gomez? Why wasn't Mario Gomez? Why couldn't Mario Gomez do that?
Because Red Bull needs an upgrade in terms of Ralf
Rangnick was
likable people.
Ralf Rangnick was real. That's his specialty. He's football director, superstar, right? Jürgen Klopp, though, has not really been a football director. I guess maybe his role at Liverpool was essentially part of that. But this is them maybe trying to get someone like Ralf Rangnick again. I don't know. We've never seen him do this kind of job. We'll see. Maybe it'll work. Maybe Leipzig and maybe Zoidspoj will win the FIFA Club World Cup now, and maybe RB Leipzig will win the Bundesliga. Maybe the Red Bulls will finally win MLS Cup and finally send all those young whippersnappers.
Erling Haaland will come to the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah. But he came from Red Bulls Zoidspoj, so it'd be good for him to end his career where he started, Red Bull world. There's also Red Bull's an enigma because this announcement came after a month that Mitzlaff said they were spending $200 million on a new youth academy here in the United States. So I'm very curious about that as well. But anywho, that's what's going on in the Germosphere. We have one more sphere, the Columbus sphere. We have a USA Hour. We're going to talk U.S. men's national team under the Poch era.
Oh, the Poch era. Oh, my God. Everything's going to be better.
He sent Christian Pulisic home early. Talk about that.
He's very concerned with the club, with the clubs being his friend. Anyway, we'll talk about it on the other side.
Load management. All right, cheers.